Right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Row Z podcast. Today, we have another guest. We are ramming these guests through. Adam is working overtime, getting all these guests on, and today we've got our very, very special friend, Mr. Tommy Wilson.
Hello.
Hello, Tommy. How are
Pleasure
you,
to be
mate?
here. I'm good, mate. You?
Yeah, good, good. Tommy's also a Norwich fan. So we're going to talk all about Norwich today. Fuck everything else off and go with that. No, I'm joking. No one wants to
Yes.
hear about David Wagner drivel. Um, but yes, Tommy, introduce yourself a little bit because you've done a fair bit inside the footballing world.
I have, yeah. So I did my undergrad in football coach management at UCFB with you, sorry people.
Yeah.
I now do my master's in performance analysis in football. Started off working with Willstone as a opposition analyst, then progressed to first team scout last season, and now I've moved on to York City as first team scout, with a little bit in between doing a little bit of work at Millwall as an academy analyst.
Right.
Yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
So analyst,
Oh.
analyst, analyst is a
Scout.
scout. Yeah.
What do you look for
Scouting for
as a
talent.
scout? What's the
Yeah.
what's the one thing you look for now in like specific positions? Like obviously football changes all the time. So what's like the sort of things you look for now? Like a
It completely changes by team. So if you look at Willstone, they play very much like with the ball. They want the ball. They want players that are good on the ball. I think now you sort of want players in every position that can play centre mid. You want players that can move the ball, even down in the National League. Like it's such a difficult league. It's so competitive, and it's most competitive it's been years now. So many big teams that drop down. So for Willstone, you look for, you know, players of energy, players that can move the ball, players who want the ball, who are comfortable on the ball. Um, York's a bit of a mix and match. So you got different roles that they want. Say for centre forward, they want a target man role. They might want a fast striker role. So it differs per team. But you're obviously looking for top talent from youth academies in Cat One, for example. There's lots of good players in there who would fit in the National League because of the standard it is now. So
yeah.
you're seeing better players come down to the National League. But
Well,
no,
yeah.
it's a great league. Honestly, I'd recommend anyone watching it.
So the next
Yeah,
It's
Jamie
beautiful.
Vardy is probably right on your doorstep, pretty much.
yeah,
I hope so. I'll be very happy, man.
Imagine if you've
yeah.
scouted him into Willstone or York, and he goes all the way to the Premier League, and that's on you.
Might be charging some sort of commission if that happens.
Yeah, exactly. That's a big pay rise.
That's all I
That's a
know.
new
Yeah.
job, isn't it?
That's all
Um,
I know.
but yeah, so you do a lot of scouting, a lot of analysts. What was it? What like? Because obviously you say you do a bit of work with Millwall. Does sort of like the level of work and the level of like analytic side of it? How like does the work differentiate the workload and like the differences between the leagues?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. So obviously when I was with Willstone, I was doing the opposition stuff, um, which was pretty much looking at stats, formations played, who the threats are, doing the strengths and weaknesses of each and every player, sending that off. But then with Millwall, it was more looking at the performance of the youth teams. So it was basically filming the game, clipping the game, tagging the game, and then you upload all the clips so that the coaching staff can go through it, with the players doing the individual player clips, even down to like under 11s. Every game they have, you know, their own clips that are made, and it's up to them to go and watch it and review their performance. It is pretty intense.
Yeah, can
Oh
There's a
wow,
lot that goes into it.
Jesus. So would
Yeah.
that just be like one? You're filming obviously the whole game as a whole. Do you film the game yourself, or is someone filming it and you get
Yeah.
the footage? You film it.
It depends. So some teams would have like a VO camera, which would obviously
Oh, okay.
record it itself.
Yeah.
The problem with that though is that it doesn't always pick up the full picture. Whereas, when you have an actual specialist, bit of technology for you, where you can
Yeah.
actually manually record it, you can obviously capture. You basically want to capture like both back fours or back threes
Yeah. I was about to say you
at
want to
all
capture
times so
everything
that you see
to
the whole bit
yeah
of play. Yeah.
yeah to make
Because,
sure they're always in line and stuff like
yeah,
that. And yeah.
there's so much that goes on off the ball that really
Mm,
isn't noticed. So obviously
yeah.
that's the benefit of, having the wide angle lens. You can see everything. It was same with the
Yeah.
first team. I think I did like 2 or 3 games with the first team as well. Just literally recording the game. But obviously you have to capture the entire back four.
Yeah.
So, you're focusing so much on that you don't really pay attention to what's going on in the game because you're just focusing on just getting, the right angle. So they obviously, after the game, they can be properly analysed and reviewed.
Oh, that's
Do you find when you watch football now? I don't know if you watch a lot of football because obviously you're filming it so often, you might almost get bored of
Yeah.
it. When you watch football now, like Premier League or Norwich or whatever you're doing, do you find you watch it differently now? Like you're almost like,
I think so. I think that you pick up on things off the ball that sort of dictates maybe your opinion on a player. Some people might say, oh, so-and-so had a terrible game today, but then you might have actually picked up, off the ball, how hard they are working, etc. Because I think a lot of people focus on what players do on the ball, which doesn't necessarily, it doesn't reflect accurately, on their performance at all.
Yeah, football seems to it's very very stat driven at the minute. Is what I'm finding. Like when I watch Norwich week in week out, I'm seeing players who are actually playing all right. They're not doing a bad job. They're not horrendous, but because the stats aren't backing it up. Yeah, fans
That's the
are
thing,
on their backs. And
there's so many stats now, but you have to back it up with some sort of evidence. You can't just go based off stats because it doesn't tell you the full picture.
No, absolutely.
Stats are definitely important, but there's definitely like a middle ground, like you say, where it's like
I think
not all
they need
stats.
to work in tandem. You have to use them both. Get the best qualities out of both to put your point across. Definitely.
Well, it's like you said, because players, sorry, like some players, although they play technically the same position and like striker for each team, they're completely different roles for each team.
Yeah.
So one's going to get way less goals but way more of this. So it's all about each team and like the tactics, I suppose, they use.
Yeah, exactly.
Which don't come on
you have
stats.
to use players to their strengths. Like you can't expect a 6'4" forward, to be constantly getting it behind, and you can't expect a 5'7" forward to be, holding the ball up.
I don't know. Have you not seen me in Norfolk Park on a Sunday? But
Afterburners.
Oh, God. Out of breath after two lunches. So Tommy, you're still working in the National League, aren't you, with York?
Yeah.
It's one player in the National League that you think has sort of the potential and all the right attributes to make it to the very top of the game. Who would it be?
The very top.
Who will be looking out for potentially?
That's a serious question.
Or even not the very
top. It's difficult to judge.
Not maybe to the very top, but
judge,
the highest they can get, like sort of the a level maybe
players that can go higher.
Yeah, that could definitely play a lot higher.
Getting that Norwich team. Who can get in that Norwich team?
Yeah, I'm sending an email to David
Some serious players. There's one player who I like particularly at the minute who is at Willstone, centre mid, called Ashley Charles. He's a really good player. I think it won't be long before he moves into the Football League. 24, played 111 games in the National League, 3 caps for Granada. He's a serious player.
Okay.
He was at Watford as well as a youngster, so he's got
sort of that
decent academy
pedigree.
pedigree.
So wait,
he's a serious player.
If you're at Wealdstone, you'd have known Adrian Clifton. I did my documentary for him. I think he was at Wealdstone. Was it with my? Oh no,
he might not have been there when I was there.
But yeah, I did my documentary on him. So, do you find you prefer watching National League football to some of the top of us like football?
It's difficult. I think that the standard's a lot better than you think. I think that if a lot of people went to it, they would expect poor football. Don't get me wrong. There's plenty of teams that will just hoof the ball up and try and score headers.
Yeah,
but that's the same at every level. But
there are teams that get down and play.
The standards a lot better than you think.
Yeah, and I think another really good reason to back up your point, Tom, is that me and you, we went to pre-season. We went to Barnet away with Norwich, and Norwich didn't put out a weak team. It was still a very capable team. The National League Barnet took us to a 1-1 draw, and probably with a better team. With a better team with a night.
That's just the Hive for you. The Hive's a fortress.
Yeah, true.
So that's what it is.
It's
a difficult place to go.
It is.
We've all been there. We've all been there.
One of those famous European nights at the Hive. That's what it is.
One of them.
That's what it's known for.
We'll move on from non-league and Barnet and the fortress that is the Hive, and